Welcome to Motocross Action's Living With series, where we answer the question, what's it like living with this bike? This time it's the 2025 Husqvarna TC125. In this video, we're going to compare the fuel-injected 125 to a carbureted one. We're also going to ask the question, how has it been durability-wise over the last 40 hours of riding on this bike? And we answer the question, is it worth it to spend $1,700 to buy the Husqvarna Power Parts Upgrade Kit to make this engine faster? All right now. But first, we have to say thank you to Maxima USA for getting our Husky TC125 dialed in for the last 40 hours, keeping us dialed in with oils, lubricants, cleaners, and everything we need to make this bike run strong. Also, keeping us strong for the next 40 hours. So when it comes to Husqvarnas, there's no better family to ask than the Bushnell family. Shawn Bushnell, pro rider, he's had an FC450 for a long time. Your wife, Allison, FC350,
right.
And your two sons have been riding Huskies as well. Bode moved up from an 85 just to this TC125, the fuel-injected one, and Jet has been a long time riding a TC125, and he's riding an FC250 now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So a Husqvarna family through and through. They've been living on Huskies, but they've never had a fuel-injected two-stroke in their garage before, so we thought, what better family to ride this bike, and also what better test rider to get? Somebody that's jumping off an 85 and getting into the big bike ranks.
It's really easy to own. I guess it's really easy to own, and it's definitely exceeded my expectations. Well, I don't have to worry about jetting anywhere, or my son doesn't have to worry about kickstarting it. He just pushes the button, it starts, and he goes. He can't complain about the jetting to me. I don't have to worry about anything really. He just push the button and go.
Nice. All right, so the first question for you, the dad of Bode, our test rider, how was the durability on this thing, and what kind of parts did you have to replace on it throughout the 40 hours so far?
Very durable, just like I kind of expected it to be, except for crash damage parts. Bode had a big crash. His very first race, he went down and he smashed the pipe up and took out a radiator hose and a throttle housing and some grips. But really, I guess the weak point would be the levers. Every time he falls, he breaks a lever.
Really?
Yeah.
There's been quite a few lever changes for Bode, but what about clutch, chain sprockets, any other durability items?
It's been amazing. 40 hours on a 125, stock clutch still.
Really?
Yep. And we haven't done, stock piston, stock chain and sprockets. They're wore out, they're ready to be changed now, but it's been really durable. Great bike for a kid, teenager, great bike, because they can just put gas in it and go ride.
So one of the big differences between fuel injection and carbureted two strokes is how the power comes on. We're talking about Bode, 15 years old, getting into the big bike ranks. He's still on a two-stroke, but the engine character is a little bit different, right? So how's it been for you, because you've ridden your carbureted bike, but also both of your boys have ridden carbureted and fuel injection now. What's the power characteristics like, and what are the pros and cons of fuel injection and the pros and cons of carburation?
That's a good question. So the carbureted motorcycle seems to make a broader, more linear power band, and you could probably make the argument that it makes more peak power. But the carburetor is more finicky, it's more sensitive to ambient conditions. The fuel-injected bike is the opposite. It's plenty of power, but it's just slightly less performance, but the usability, the rideability is probably easier.
Yep.
It's definitely easier. Both the boys and me prefer the carbureted power band and the delivery when you're racing it, but the fuel-injected bike is so much easier to own and operate. You don't have to worry about anything, and whether we go trail riding on the weekend, whether we're up in the mountains at high elevations, or whether we're down here at Glen Helen, we don't have to make any changes whatsoever.
So Bode's raced this bike at Mesquite. We did that 8-hour race. You put a lot of time on it there. You did some riding at Big Bear, some trail riding? Yep, so Big Bear riding at super high elevation. Obviously Glen Helen, we ride here a lot. Paula and other tracks around here, Southern California. So it's pretty cool how the fuel injection, because this bike is electronic, it has a brain, the ECU can tell the elevation, also the temperature of the air around you, and that adjusts the jetting technically and decides how much fuel, air to give the engine, allows it to run optimally everywhere you go. But with that, you do give up a little bit of performance. When you have a carburetor, you can tune it exactly how you want for the temperature, for the elevation you're at that day, and you're gonna get a faster bike. Of course, there are pros and cons. We just mentioned the carbureted bike, stronger on performance and on power. And when it comes to the smarter bike, it's very nice that you don't have to mess with the jetting. It's easier for a family that's getting into the sport of motocross. It doesn't want to mess with carburetors, but the drawback is the performance and the modifications. One of the most fun parts about buying a 125 two-stroke is dumping some money into it, porting it, polishing it, modifying it, and boosting some more power out of your small bore two-stroke. Unfortunately, with the new generation Austrian two-strokes, KTM Husqvarna in 2023, GasGas in 2024, it got a lot harder to modify the bikes with the fuel injection and all the electronic parts that they added onto these new generation two-strokes. However, with the benefits of the electronic fuel injection making the bike easier to ride and easier to work on, you unfortunately get the drawback of less opportunity for modifications. When it comes to the World Two-Stroke Championship here at Glen Helen, which is just right around the corner here in Southern California, all of the top tier riders, for the most part, are riding on carbureted, older generation KTM, Husqvarna, or GasGas two-strokes. Even at the amateur nationals like Loretta's, Freestone, and Texas, California Classic, the top Schoolboy 1 riders are usually riding older generation carbureted Austrian 125 two-strokes. The reason for that, there's not so much opportunity for modifying these fuel injected bikes. For MXA, we wanted to try though to see what it would be like to modify our TC125 for Bode and for the rest of our test riders. So we decided to throw on the aftermarket Husqvarna Power Parts Performance kit, which comes with a pre-assembled factory cylinder kit. It's got a different piston, different dome, different ECU, different spark plug, even a stiffer clutch spring, and of course the beautiful FMF pipe and silencer. Retails for $1,700 and it comes set up on your TC125. We threw that on and we wanted to see what it was all about. So I got to tell you guys, when we first got this performance kit for our TC125, of course I liked the FMF pipe and silencer, but I was pretty underwhelmed by the aftermarket cylinder. It looks exactly like a stock bike, and for me, if you're going to spend $1,700, you want to at least have some cool engravings on there from the factory, or at least a sticker on there.
Yeah, at least like a greasy thumbprint on the outside. Something
to make it look like you actually have a mod bike. Part of it, especially for me, remembering what it was like as a young kid having my own 85 mod bike or 125 mod bike, I wanted it to look cool, but the most important thing is how did it run compared to our stock bike that we got 40 hours on. Shawn, you rode it, Bode rode it, you guys got your first impressions. What did you guys think about it?
Well, it was a little bit misleading. I thought we were being punked.
Really?
Yeah, I expected it to feel like a mod bike. It was hard to tell the difference. I think the universal response between us and everyone else that tried the bike was, which one's the mod?
We had 4 of us ride it the first day. You rode it, Bode rode it, I rode it, Justin Lee rode it. We got some video footage of him riding it, but that track's a little bit tighter. It was very rough that day.
Yep.
And it was something that we're like, maybe we should get it on some different tracks before we really come up with an opinion of the stock bike versus the Power Parts upgraded bike. You and your family took it to a more flowy, open track,
yep,
a higher elevation in the desert this past weekend.
Yeah.
And then we brought it, of course, to our office, Glen Helen, where we got the long, fast straightaways, the long uphills. A lot of different guys rode it today back to back with the stock bike. And unfortunately, it was kind of like a sugar pill. You couldn't really tell the difference between the Power Parts bike or the stock bike. I mean, could you feel anything?
It sounded better. No, I mean, I want to say there's 3 of us thought there might be a little bit, if the power band were this broad, we might narrow it down to one little section. It might have had a little bit more power, maybe. So not very much.
So not really worth the $1,700. So really the moral of the story is that if you're buying a 125 two-stroke and you want to modify it, you want to race Loretta's, you want to be the most competitive you can be in the Schoolboy 1 class at Loretta's, or if you want to go with a big bore 150 and modify it as much as you can to race the Pasha 150 open classes at the World Two-Stroke Championships, you're going to be better off on a carbureted bike. But if you want a bike that's easier to ride, easier to work on as far as not having to jet the bike, and great durability wise, we found that the fuel injected bike has been awesome for Bode the last 40 hours as he's transitioned from 85 up to the big bike rank. So this story is really a tale of pros and cons. The cons are you can't do a lot to modify these bikes. Even aftermarket tuners like Jamie Ellis of Twisted Development, he modifies every bike on the earth, but he doesn't modify the Austrian fuel-injected two-strokes because the limit and the window is so small for making improvements on these bikes, and they're so finicky that he prefers just to stay away from them. So that kind of tells the story. Aftermarket pipes do help. We do appreciate FMF. We also appreciated the Scalvini pipe you guys tested on it recently. So there are pipes that you can add on here, but when it comes to mapping, engine upgrades, it's really hard to make a difference with the fuel-injected 125s. So of course, the story is a little bit negative when we talk about a mod 125, but it's also positive when we talk about the stock 125 and what this bike has been like to live with with for Bode the last 40 hours of riding on it. It's a stock bike, but it's something that's met his needs, right? He hasn't really needed much more.
Oh, absolutely. He hasn't needed anything more. He's not even using everything it has yet. And he's, you know, he's a novice rider, but he's getting really good. He's starting to figure it out. So he's like front of the pack novice rider. He doesn't need any more power at all. If he wants to go faster, he needs to work on corner speed. I think that's one of the benefits of the transition from mini bikes to big bikes for kids to go onto a 125. It's a great transition for them to build their skill set and become like mature into really good, technically sound riders before they get a whole bunch of horsepower.
It takes more skill to ride a 125 fast than it does to ride an FC 250 4-stroke fast. The 4-stroke power is right there. It's got more traction in a lot of ways, a smoother power, which is easier to ride, but you'll become a better rider if you build that foundation on a 125 2-stroke. I know I started on one. I'm sure you did, right?
Oh yeah, I spent a long time on one.
So
and this TC125 is just a great platform. You don't have to do a thing to it.
It's good to go. So stock bike. This is the Power Parts bike. It looks a little bit fresher than the 40-hour bike, but otherwise TC125 has been great to live with. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thanks also to Maxima USA for ensuring we have all the oils we need, chain lube, contact cleaner. Contact cleaner is so important. It's like my favorite thing in the van. So Maxima USA is getting us out. Be sure to check them out on their website. And thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe to Motocross Action, and also let us know in the comments what bike you want a video on next. We got a lot of hours on all of our test bikes, so if there's any specific models or specific parts that you want to hear about, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.